Welcome to the Desk to Dice channel. Today we're going to talk about hobbying while travelling. When I'm away from home and I want to do a bit of hobbying, this is some of the essential kit that I take with me. I use just an old toiletries bag to fit everything in. It goes in there nicely. I generally try and focus on just one or two models. I think it's best not to try and overstretch yourself, put a lot of pressure on yourself to try and get a lot done. Obviously, you're either away with work, so you're not going to have a huge amount of time, just the evenings maybe, or you're either on holiday and it's supposed to be a relaxing time. So I think it's best not to try and do too much. I tend to not build when I go away, just because of taking sprues and obviously needing clippers and knives and glue and things. It's a little bit more tricky. So I find what works best for myself is just to take one or two models, maybe like a character that I want to take a bit more time on and really focus on the painting. I feel that that's the sort of the best way for myself to hobby while I'm away from home. So taking a look at the things the essentials that I take away with me. So one of the key things that I find is a small light. This is just a sort of a newer LED light that you can get these on Amazon. They're not too expensive. I find this is really helpful because especially in hotel rooms, they generally don't have great lighting. So just having a little light with you, with a small tripod that you can just put that on the desk, is going to really help you see what you're doing. Obviously you could use a head torch, would work as well. But just having some sort of extra light is really useful in making sure that you can properly see what you're doing. One of the other little things that I find is quite useful is I just have one of these boxes. So this is just one of the boxes you get when you go and do one of the models of the month at a Warhammer shop. So I just hold on to these because that's really handy just to pop the miniature in. Stops it from getting broken and bashed up. Obviously, if you're chucking this into your luggage, it's going to get a bit squished and sort of bashed up. So that's really handy, and they're free. Obviously, you can go down to the Warhammer shop, you can build a model, you put it in a box, you take it away, and then you can just hold on to that. So that's a really useful thing, I find. So obviously paintbrushes, essential. I tend to take just a few paintbrushes. I believe it's better to have some decent quality brushes rather than lots of brushes. So I've got a couple of the Artus Opus brushes, a number 1 and a number 0. I find they pretty much do everything that I want to do. And then I just have a sort of older, cheaper brush, which I mainly use for things like if I'm doing textured basing and things like that, where I don't want to use a nice high quality brush for using those. I'll also take a small dry brush as well. So yeah, they're just the 4 brushes that I use. Another essential piece is a small wet palette. This one is from Frontier Wargaming. So I have their little lap table, which I got this with that. Obviously you can buy these separately, and I'm sure there are other brands that do similar sized ones. This is just quite a nice small one, fits easily in the bag. I've got the sheets to replace them there, and I also have a textured palette as well for the dry brushing, which they're just a nice convenient size and fit really well into the wash bag. And then just the selection of paints. So I like to, as I say, I tend to pick a model, sort of 1 or 2 characters. So the last time I went away, I painted this Necron Overlord, which sort of video will be coming out on that soon. So I already knew the scheme that I wanted to do on this, so I was able to just select only the paints that I knew I would need, and then bring those with me, which just makes it a lot easier. You're not having to take loads of paints with you. And that's really all that you need. As I say, I personally don't tend to build when I go away. I build my models first and I get them primed up. So this model, I built him up, I primed him in black, and then just popped him in the box. So then I was able to take that with me. That's just what works best for me. I don't have to worry about taking clippers and knives and glue and things, and then having to sort of prime with a brush, because obviously I'm not going to be able to use a spray can and or take an airbrush and so forth into a hotel. So this is what I find works for me, and just is a nice easy way to be able to hobby whilst you're not at home, and just keep it low pressure and fun. So I hope you enjoyed the video and you found that useful. Just a little look at some of the bits that I take away when I'm hobbying away from home. If you like the video, then make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to help us grow, and we'll see you in the next one.